Inside the stories that affect you. This is Inside KELOLAND.
Good evening, I'm Don Jorgensen. Thanks for joining us. Tomorrow, thousands of people will be lining the streets of downtown Sioux Falls for the Native American Day Parade. Monday will honor the long history and vibrant culture of tribes in South Dakota. The parade will start at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning on the corner of 13th Street and Phillips Avenue. The theme is honoring our elders. And joining us now is one of the organizers of the parade, Lawrence West. Thanks for joining us here today, Lawrence. Now, this is the first Native American Day parade here in Sioux Falls. Talk a little bit about how it got started.
I think it was just the fact that it never had been before is kind of what spitballed the idea. And a group of people from all over South Dakota, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, and even up north, Sis-Tinway, came together and kind of was like, you know, it's time to do this, let's do this. And let's get as many people and as many kids and organizations involved and give something for people to look forward to. And
this is the first one in Sioux Falls, but Rapid City has done.
Yeah, I believe they're on their third annual this year, and it's pretty big over there. They get close to 100 floats, and the horses and the regalia and the drum groups, and it's very colorful, very nice thing to see.
Yeah, it sounds really exciting. So has this been in the works for a long time then?
The thought of it's been around for a while, but the actual working to organize it and engage with people to move it forward hasn't been in effect that long, no.
No, I think you and I were talking earlier that maybe just this summer started kind of kicking the idea around.
Yeah, around June, beginning of July, Richie Richards had contacted me, and he said, I want to do a parade, and my exact quote was, let's do it. I'm on board, whatever it takes. And that's kind of how it started out.
So it's going to be a lot of floats, and I mean, like you said, a lot of color. How many floats are you going to have?
The count as of 2 days ago, I think we were in the range of 40 floats. And that's from the Native American schools and also, thankfully, the local schools from middle school to high school. All the Native American groups locally, their schools have opted to allow them to join the parade instead of being school. We have the Dakota 38 riders, a number of groups from all over the country, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, when you're talking about floats, I mean, are these going to be traditional floats, or are they going to be something unique and different geared towards the Native American culture? Like, what can we expect to see?
So we didn't really put any restrictions on the floats as far as what people are building to represent their cause, but a number of them, generally most of them, will be Native American based with the drum groups and the regalia and the kids and a lot of sports and Native American sport groups and stuff are coming out to support us, and yeah.
That'd be very cool. Now, a lot of us, we've been to parades, people love parades. What's going to be, you think, one of the most exciting parts of this Native American Day Parade that people should look forward to seeing?
The kids, the involvement from the kids, and in our faith, we put a lot of belief in the kids, and to see them out enjoying themselves and seeing their culture in this community where it hasn't really showed itself a lot. It's evident here, but this is something that's above and beyond how it's been represented any other way up to this point in the Sioux Falls community. So,
yeah, it's a great opportunity for the community to embrace the Native American culture by just showing up. Any idea how many spectators you're expecting?
Hopefully a lot. We worked really hard to put this on for the people, and we've been spreading the word, and I know the other ladies that are on the committee have been pounding the pavement and spreading flyers all over town, and they've been on the phone and on the emails and just working it. So hopefully we have a good come out.
All right, well, don't go anywhere. We're going to continue our conversation with one of the organizers of the Native American Day Parade and the significance this event will have on our state. Inside KELOLAND. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Inside KELOLAND. We have been talking with Lawrence West, one of the organizers, about the Native American Day Parade that's going to be kicking off here in downtown Sioux Falls tomorrow morning. Since South Dakota started recognizing Columbus Day as Native American Day, talk about some of the changes and how significant that has been, you think, for the Native American culture and then the state of South Dakota as a whole.
I think by the fact when that entire transition happened, that it sensed a moment of healing, you know, like we can start moving forward from this point as a group, as people, and start integrating ourselves into today's society and gaining some of the same things that previously we weren't allotted, and being recognized and being accepted as far as our traditional way of life and coinciding with your normal everyday life that you have to live.
Governor Mickelson was instrumental in having your reconciliation with the Native American culture, and I think that was a significant move as well. Like you said, that there was like some acceptance from that day forward. Right,
and it means a lot of different things to a lot of different age groups of people. I was fairly young when that happened, but it was known about, you know. And to some of the older people, it means a lot more, and to some of them it means nothing because of what they had been through. But today, in this day and age that it's being recognized in this community with such a large Native American population, it's something that's pertinent as far as identifying in the schools and teaching history, not only in South Dakota, but the history of Native Americans as a total.
And while you bring that up, tell our viewers who may not know, the importance, the Native American culture, the history, and how important that is for today's youth to understand that.
I think that it's important for the youth today to know about it, because in the face of all the things today that all the kids have access to, their identities get washed away, the language gets washed away, the teachings get washed away, the songs, all of that. And so things like this that are giving this identity back to the people is important, because it's our own people too that are confused about the identity and the things that the Native American, being a Native American, represents today.
Talk a little bit about what you feel still could be done in our community to embrace the Native American culture.
That's kind of a really hard, really broad question, because there's a lot of answers to it. I definitely feel that the gap is moving forward and closing. And there's a number of things, like with any culture or any problem or anything, there's so much that can be done that one or two specific things can't be pinpointed, you know.
Yeah, I understand. Gotcha. Most states, they recognize, we talked about that, recognizing Columbus Day as Native American Day, but other states that don't, how does that make you feel?
I think that it's something that's very important for, especially now in today's date with the transparency of everything and the truth that's out there. It doesn't bother me personally, but I think for the future of the Native American people across the United States in a whole, that it should be recognized as Native American Day, because they need that. Every culture has that, you know. They have different holidays that represent their culture, and they need that win.
And it just helps narrow that gap that you talked about in embracing the Native American culture. Before we go, I guess remind our viewers one more time about the parade, some of the details. So if you want to all take in the festivities, where, when, and how do we get there?
So the Native American Day Parade will be tomorrow, Monday, October 8th. and we'll have a prayer circle beginning here on the corner of 13th and Phillips at 8:30 in the morning, and then the parade will actually commence around 10 a.m. and we'll run through there.
Oh, I look forward to it. Like you said, it's going to be a wonderful event, colorful. I think people are going to be maybe some surprised and look forward. And this is something that you're going to probably continue to do.
Yes, so we have plans to continue this annually, year after year. The people that we have on the committee are actually really committed to the cause and helping out.
Well, you're there, you know, because the first year is always the hardest, right?
Yeah.
So you're on your way. Well, Lawrence, really appreciate you being on Inside KELOLAND. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And in case you can't make it to the Native American Day Parade tomorrow, there is another event that you can attend in Sioux Falls to celebrate the day. The Multicultural Center will host the Native American Day Wachipi. Dinner starts at 6 p.m. with the grand entry at 7 o'clock. It's going to feature singers, dancers, and drum groups. It is free, and it's open to the public. Coming up after the break, we're going to show you one of the floats that are going to be featured in tomorrow's parade and what meaning it has for students at Lincoln High School. Inside KELOLAND. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Inside KELOLAND. Tonight we have been focusing on the Native American Day Parade that will take over downtown Sioux Falls tomorrow morning. One of the floats you're going to be seeing rolling down the street tomorrow was built by students at Lincoln High School along with their teacher Janet Martin. And Janet joins us now to talk about the float and her class Native American Connections. Thanks for being on Inside KELOLAND. What was your first reaction when you heard that there was going to be a Native American Day parade here in Sioux Falls?
My very first reaction was telling my students, we're going to ask Mr. Grimm if we can make a float. And the kids said, what's a float? And I told them, and they said, what's a hay rack? And I said, don't worry, I'll bring it in. So that was my first reaction, and Mr. Grimm said, go for it.
Yeah, and what was the students' reaction other than what's a float?
They kind of laughed, so I brought up an image of a float on our smartboard so they could see what a float was and then explain it, and then their ideas just flowed.
Yeah, so we'll talk about how this float came into being and what kind of float is it going to be?
Well, the kids are well versed. The kids that I have are well versed in a lot of their cultural history, so they wanted it to be presented from origin of the people to contemporary, where we are now. And so they have done a great job of bringing in the origin of the people and then the 9 tribes and reservations of South Dakota, connecting it to the spiritual part of the some of the sacred values that are held in ceremony. So they have done the whole beginning to present.
And this is the class we're talking about, the Native American Connections class that you
Right.
teach?
It's our Native American Connections Culture and History class, and it's our NAC1 group, which is mostly freshmen, and then our older students that are in Native American 2 Culture History class, and they're studying things like the current Native American law, what happens in the law. So we look at all of the policies and what they deal with in the law currently. So.
And do you deal with some of the culture and the language, the Lakota language?
Yes, and that will be represented on the float. The language will be a part of the things on the float that talks about the origin of the people, and it gives the Lakota words for those things. And so people will be seeing a lot on that float to demonstrate cultural understandings.
Now, how long have you been working on this float?
Well, we've been working on the float now since we heard about the parade, and now it's just kind of all coming together. I think we're pretty much done now. Got a couple of things we're going to do about 5 in the morning on Monday morning, but otherwise we've wrapped it up pretty well.
Last minute adds to the float.
Right,
Yeah.
Last minute.
How important, as a teacher, do you think it is for today's youth and all of us to learn about the Native American culture?
Well, I think it's tremendously important. I think we're so uneducated about the history that at the time pre-colonial, this land was totally inhabited from coast to coast, north to south. North America, Central America, South America by peoples. And that group of people knew nothing about the European side, the Eastern Hemisphere. So, but the Eastern Hemisphere knew nothing about the Western Hemisphere. And so I think it's very important for people to understand that people lived here. There was no real discovery. You can't really say somebody discovers a place when people already live there. And so I think getting that across to people and understanding the people lived here thousands of years with vibrant cultures that traded for centuries and traded goods and services and had very thriving cultures and foods. They invented corn, potatoes, tomatoes, and had all those things in place that I don't think people truly understand. And I think it's really important for our society to understand that that all existed. Okay. And that it can be hurtful to hear that Columbus discovered America when there were people living here.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it at that. Thank you for being on Inside KELOLAND, and good luck with the float tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break this week, we're also celebrating Hispanic heritage here in KELOLAND. Dan Santella is going to join us with a preview of his special coming up on Tuesday. We're back after the break. Welcome back to Inside KELOLAND. Over the past half hour, we have focused on the Native American culture. Well, now we're looking into the hidden history of Hispanic heritage here in South Dakota. And KELOLAND's Dan Santella, he joins us now with a preview of his special. Dan?
Well, Don, I recently sat down with a group of Hispanic students and community leaders, and we talked about current race relations and, of course, their feelings on immigration and the wall. Take a listen.
What does it mean to be Hispanic in South Dakota in 2018? And we'll start with Nancy. What do you think of that?
I think to be Hispanic in South Dakota means opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity for growth for Hispanics in South Dakota currently. In any setting, students, businesses.
I kind of resonate with Nancy and Yesenia say in the fact that Sioux Falls has been a city of an opportunity. I've been very lucky and very blessed to have had the opportunities I've had in this town, and I'm happy to be a resident of this town. But at the same time, I've learned from my background, and I've learned that we live in a difficult political environment today.
I feel that anywhere, including South Dakota, there might be that crossway where people feel that they can excel and yet feel that kind of resistance and don't know kind of the tomorrows.
And that was just one of the many topics we touched on in our hour-long conversation. You can catch more of our roundtable discussion on a special Eye on KELOLAND on Monday at 10 o'clock. And then watch our Hidden Histories Hispanic Heritage special on Tuesday at 6:30 on Mayu TV as we show you how the Latino community has shaped this country for decades.
And Dan, what were some of the other themes that came up in your discussions?
Well, we talked about racism, if they've felt it, how they handle it, if they do feel it. Another theme that came up with our Hidden History special with African American history and Martin Luther King Day earlier this year is how do you respond when someone says, I don't see color, or I don't see race, and their thoughts on that. They talked about Sioux Falls and growing up here and how it's changed and how they view it now, how they feel welcomed, if they feel welcomed, and by and large they said they do. It was a really interesting there were different ages and people who have been here as little as 10 months and as 23 years, so different perspectives.
Yeah, a very broad range of people
yeah.
in the Hispanic community.
And good thoughts. 6 different people.
All right, we look forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
All right, thanks, Dan. And to show you what kind of stories you're going to see on Tuesday, we introduce you to a man who is using several media platforms to keep the Hispanic culture and language alive in the U.S. Jennifer Sanders with our sister station in Syracuse, New York, has that story.
En la llamada telefónica tenemos a la señora María Ortiz. Hola María, ¿cómo estás?
It doesn't take long to hear
Y aquí tenemos también una información.
or see Hugo Acosta's passion for the Latino community.
En la página, si tú vas a la copia del periódico Sioux Latino.
In a time where radio and newspaper are part of a dying industry, Hugo has found a way to use both to preserve his culture through media.
Our culture has the bad image of a lot of negativity. So I'm trying with the paper not only to enhance and show the positivity, there is plenty in there, but also how to avoid that the negativity to keep growing.
What started as a mostly black and white 24-page paper in 2004 has grown into this. He now prints thousands of issues each month, covering everything from street art to immigration policies, all articles in both English and in Spanish.
A huge percent of the Latinos that migrate here are looking for what the famous American dream. But many of them either are doing it the wrong way or they don't know how to do it properly. So another mission that I would like to use with my, not only the newspaper, but the other media outlets, especially now that the digital world is coming into the new generation, is how to do that in this society, in this American culture, without losing our own culture. WVOA Radio.
A few years later, that same mission would lead him here to create Hablando con Central New York, the only Spanish commercial radio show in this area. It runs on 87.7 FM, but reaches across the world.
We're getting phone calls from Colombia, from Mexico.
The topics are many, from recipes to religion to sanctuary cities and sports.
We interview a popular Latino goalie in hockey. We Latinos stay away from winter, the cold weather. That's rare to see people of color in hockey. And that was very interesting.
But perhaps the biggest focus is on the future.
If the Latinos, new generation coming in here, not only I'm going to lose the language, but then little by little through the years might also lose the culture. That's something it will be sad to see.
And that's why he will continue using his voice for his culture.
And remember, you can watch more of Dan's roundtable discussion with Hispanic leaders and students on Monday's Eye on KELOLAND at 10 o'clock. And then catch more of these stories Tuesday at 6:30 on Mayu TV for the Hidden History Special Hispanic Heritage. That's all the time we have for this week's Inside KELOLAND. You can find out more about today's topics online at KELOLAND.com. Just click on the Inside KELOLAND section. Join us every Sunday following the 10 o'clock news right here on KELOLAND TV. Have a good night. Thank you for watching.